The man in seat 2A. When a 62-year-old man was questioned about belonging in first class, he didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. But by the time the plane landed, his quiet response had gone viral, and the airline was scrambling to save face. Raymond Jenkins didn't look like a man trying to prove anything. Broad-shouldered with silver streaks in his close-cut hair, his eyes held the calm of someone who'd lived through more than most would ever know. He walked through Gate C-12 at Phoenix Sky Harbor with quiet confidence, wearing a navy linen blazer, crisp khakis, and leather shoes polished just enough to say, "I still have standards, even in retirement." In one hand, he held a well-worn, leather-bound book of Langston Hughes poetry. In the other, a boarding pass. Seat 2A, first class, Flight 349 to Seattle. This trip was a gift to himself after nearly 4 decades as a school principal in Decatur, Georgia. No family obligations, no agenda. Just a window seat, a cold drink, and some poetry in the clouds. He greeted the flight attendant at the door with a warm, "How you doing?" She smiled, scanned his ticket, and welcomed him aboard. Raymond eased into his seat, adjusted the air nozzle, folded his jacket neatly in his lap, and opened his book to a dog-eared page. Then came the pilot, Captain Blake Renault. Tall, tan, sunglasses still on indoors, and smug in a way only some people manage to be. He strutted through first class like it belonged to him, nodding at familiar faces, exchanging inside jokes with the flight crew. Then he stopped. Row 2. Right in front of Raymond. There was a pause. Not long, but long enough. "Sir," the captain said, voice loud and patronizing, "are you sure you're in the right seat?" Raymond didn't blink. He calmly closed his book, held up his boarding pass, and said, "That's what it says." Renault glanced at the pass, then at Raymond, and forced a smile. "Well, I suppose they're letting anyone up here now." It wasn't loud, but everyone around heard it. It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it. The tone. The implication. A woman across the aisle shifted uneasily. Her husband, instinctively, had started recording on his phone. Raymond didn't flinch. He didn't engage. He leaned back and simply said, "I believe I've earned this seat. Just like everyone else." Renault smirked and muttered under his breath, "Sure you did," as he walked toward the cockpit. That moment, caught entirely on camera, changed everything. No one said anything at first, but the cabin felt different. Quiet tension. People shared glances. Some whispered. Raymond returned to his poetry. The man with the phone, Brian Lattimore, leaned toward his wife. "I got all of it. Every second." She asked, "Should we post it?" He nodded. "People need to see this." By the time the plane took off, the video had already reached thousands on TikTok and Reddit. The algorithm loved a clear villain, and it loved dignity even more. What the internet didn't know yet was who Raymond Jenkins was, or what he represented. Born in Monroe, Louisiana, raised by a father who cleaned classrooms by day and quoted Baldwin by heart at night, Raymond learned early never to let someone else's assumptions define him. "Don't ever let a man's idea of you become your truth," his father once told him. Raymond carried that advice into every classroom, every parent-teacher meeting, every boardroom where someone quietly questioned if he belonged. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just showed up prepared, and raised the standard for everyone else. So when Captain Renault questioned him, it wasn't new. It was just the latest version of the same old song. But this time, someone had a camera. By cruising altitude, the video had reached 100,000 views. By the time the snack cart rolled by, it had crossed 1 million. Raymond still didn't know. He sipped ginger ale and underlined a stanza in his book. Outside the window, clouds drifted by. Inside the cabin, a digital storm raged below. Hashtags bloomed. Hashtag Raymond Jenkins. Hashtag Flight 349. People connected the dots, an old local news piece, a photo from his retirement ceremony, a story from a former student who said, "He changed my life." Meanwhile, in the cockpit, Renault was still clueless. The airline's PR team wasn't. By the time the plane landed in Seattle, a full internal review had already begun. Someone leaked an old HR complaint against Renault. Then another. And another. Passengers whispered. Crew members shared knowing glances. And when Raymond stepped off that plane, The world was watching. He didn't ask for the spotlight. But it found him. A journalist named Denise Corbin reached out. She didn't want a viral headline. She wanted to hear the truth. They met 2 days later at a quiet community center. No lights. No stage. Just a camera and 2 chairs. When the pilot questioned you, she asked, what went through your mind? Raymond smiled softly. I've been asked if I belonged in a lot of rooms. That one just had wings. The quote spread like wildfire. Not out of outrage, but out of respect. He didn't call for boycotts. He didn't attack anyone by name. He simply said, you can't control how others see you. But you can control how you see yourself. That's what people remembered. Former crew members came forward. Passengers, too. The pattern was undeniable. Eventually, the airline made changes. Real ones. Conduct policies rewritten. Training programs overhauled. And a new internal code of conduct was introduced, the Jenkins Code. Raymond chuckled when he heard the name. I didn't write a code, he said. I just sat down. Captain Renault was quietly let go. No fanfare. No press conference. Raymond never celebrated. He just went home. To his quiet house in Decatur. To the porch swing his wife had picked out. To the recliner where he used to grade papers late into the night. When his granddaughter Ava asked if he'd done something wrong to be on the news, he smiled and said, No, baby. I just sat down. And she nodded, as only a child can, and said, That's cool. You didn't yell. You just stayed sitting. Sometimes, he told her, staying still is the loudest thing you can do.